Good day folks, Sean here from Air Photography. So a couple weeks ago, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, I uploaded a video going over the new firmware for the Mavic 3. We took the drone out to test it out and check out some of the new features. Now it just so happens that day I went to fly, it was snowing fairly significantly, and right away my comment section was full of people asking questions. Can you fly drones in the snow safely? Will it damage the drone? And many people just asking questions about it. And that goes across all my social media. I had questions on Facebook, had some emails, and even on TikTok. Now in the past I have uploaded several videos going over tips for flying in the winter and in cold temperatures. Flying drones in extreme cold is a little bit different than flying it in warm temperatures. There's a few extra steps that you have to take to ensure a nice, successful, and safe flight. But this particular question is to do with the snow. Will the snow damage the drone? After all, snow is a form of precipitation, and moisture and electronics don't get along. Now before I continue here, as a disclaimer, I just want to mention anything I talk about here going on is my opinion. I'm not an expert when it comes to electronics. I'm not an engineer. This is just my experience after flying drones in all types of weather conditions. Just keep in mind all drones have a minimum operating temperature. For example, the Mini 2, the lowest temperature that they recommend operating it in is 0 degrees Celsius. The Mavic 3 here is negative 10 degrees Celsius. Now I have flown both drones in temperatures much colder than that. And as mentioned, as long as you follow a few simple procedures, there's no issues at all. I also want to mention that depending on what country you live in, flying in certain types of weather might be against your rules and regulations, and it could potentially void the warranty on your drone. So now with all that said, let's talk about the issue about flying in the snow. Now, being Canadian, we have snow here for about 4 months of the year. Depending on the winter, some winters we hardly get any snow, other years we can get quite a bit. Now, some people won't fly their drones in the wintertime just because it's, not very pleasant out, it's cold. But as a drone enthusiast myself, that just cannot happen. I like to fly every week at least, sometimes every day. Now I don't fly as much in the wintertime, but as a Canadian drone pilot you do have to get used to flying in undesirable weather. Now when it comes to moisture, obviously you don't want to get your drone wet. It's not a good idea to fly in the rain. Flying in the rain could allow water to penetrate into the camera, into the electronics inside. Now for myself, when it comes to flying in the snow, if it's a light snow and it's really cold out, so it's a cold dry snow, if that makes any sense, I have no issue flying in it. In fact, I have flown in snow for the last 10 years. I've never had a single problem. However, sometimes you get that snow that's really kind of wet and heavy on a mild day. That type of snow tends to melt on contact. We had a snow the other day. You can see here in this clip, you can see it's a really wet snow, and when it's like that I won't fly. But on a really cold day, that snow never really melts. It just blows around the drone. When you bring it in, you don't have any kind of precipitation on it. So for me, I don't mind flying when it is a light snow out, and like I said, it's really dry. If you do decide to fly in the snow, just a couple things you want to keep an eye on. Just make sure you don't get any kind of icing built up on your propellers. I've never really had an issue with that, but I know it can happen. And just like when flying in extremely cold temperatures, make sure you keep your batteries warm. Now, a couple things you can do to help keep your batteries warm. You can keep them on an inside pocket. That generally will help. You can also use electronic hand warmers. Just turn it on low and put it inside your drone bag. That will also help keep your batteries at a nice warm temperature. Once the drone's up in the air, the electronics are enough to keep the battery at a nice temperature. The other thing I recommend is keep your flight short. Even though the Mavic 3 is rated to fly for 46 minutes, I usually recommend keeping it a lot shorter than that. Maybe go up for about 10 or 15 minutes. Bring the drone back, inspect it, make sure everything's okay, make sure the drone's not getting wet, and make sure there's no ice built up on the propellers. So yeah, folks, just a quick video about flying in the snow. Personally, myself, I enjoy it. It really can make for some nice, interesting footage. Nice winterscapes always look nice. And more importantly, it gets you out and flying instead of being grounded for 4 or 5 months of the year if you live in a climate where you experience winter. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and got some value out of it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. It's always greatly appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. And we'll see you in the next one.